way back 2013, it seemed like you were destined to win the Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat
Yeah.
match, and you got a concussion. And the person who replaced you, Curtis Axel, Michael McGillicuddy, Joe Henning, hodgepodge of names, he ended up replacing you and then won the Intercontinental title. To me, it was like so obvious you were about to win the Intercontinental title. It was so obvious you were about to win the belt. And then suddenly you got concussed. And then I feel like from that point on, there was like, you weren't going up anymore. You weren't going sideways. You were slowly going down. Is that how you feel?
Man, I got a lot of tattoos that summer. You know, I don't want to call anybody out, but I was working somebody, man, he knocked me out, and I knew they were going to put the title on me, and I didn't tell the office that I got knocked out, and I kept working with a concussion. And at that time, it was kind of the beginning of like they were really diving into the CTE, having Chris Nowinski come to a lot of TV tapings. And just, you know, the protocol was if you get your bell wrong, make sure someone knows. And, you know, there's a protocol where you have to do a impact test to come back. Hey, come on, bro. We're doing an interview. But I was, you know, I kind of grew up on the indies where if you get your bell wrong, especially if they're putting the Intercontinental title on you, maybe just don't say anything. And so I actually kept working, and then I coincidentally was working Cardona in Long Island and got knocked out just on a bump, and I didn't know where I was at. And so I think they were upset with me that I didn't tell them. Like I think they thought that I was lying to them, but I don't know. What are you gonna do? So
of course, but that's not like people have done that before. Like, for instance, the first thing I think of is when Daniel Bryan, he was having seizures and he had multiple concussions, and he never told anyone about these things. And then when he was getting signed to the WWE, Nigel McGuinness told them he was having the same issues, so they didn't sign him. They signed Daniel Bryan, even though he was having the same exact problems you're describing kind of with yourself, you know, a concussion, you weren't telling anybody, but yet you were going to keep going. But then eventually one thing caused a domino effect, it seems. And that one concussion is what did that for you, it feels like. And again, I remember clear as day, I was like, oh, he's going to totally win. I love it. Oh, he's hurt. Oh,
shit. Yeah. But you know what? In retrospect, maybe I won the IC title and I was all loopy, and then maybe my brain would have been a lot worse, you know, like, the goal is to live into your well into your 70s and 80s to be able to function. And and that's what the WWE was looking out for me. They were looking out for me. They didn't want me to fucking be damaged goods. And I totally understand where they're coming from. But I feel like they thought I was lying to them. And, you know, so it is what it is.
Of course. You know, it's no one's fault except for that person who obviously
had
a concussion.
Yeah.
You know, I was in a car accident last year, and I got hit hard. My whole car was completely total. People thought I was dead in my car. And I tried to be like, I'm fine. And I totally had a concussion. I went to work like the next day, and I was like, I'm fine. And I was like, oh, those bright lights are killing me. Like, it was all the signs were there, but again, I was trying to play it off. And obviously when you're in the bubble, you're like yourself, you want to please the masters and the bosses and the managers and see how great you are. And I assume you're talking about how you grew up in the, you know, the age of work through pain.
Yeah.
So were you working through pain?
Well, I mean, I think when I started in 99, and I mean, people didn't know a lot about concussions, and I mean, obviously they still don't till this day. I mean, you only can really do a lot of research on the brain post death. So CT's a fairly new thing, you know, and back then, if you got your bell rung and sat on the bench, you're kind of considered a pussy. So that was just the Wild West back then. And, you know, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the interview of some of those old timers that are dealing with those effects of the Wild West of wrestling back in the day, you know, it's just it's just a lack of education. And you know, the brain's it's a very dangerous and scary and delicate thing to mess with. So WWE did a really good job, and they are doing a really good job of you know, having protocols set in and testing. I just feel like Vince was he had a vision for me, and he was excited. And then when that happened, I think it kind of pissed him off a little bit, you know. So, but my health and well-being is, I need my brain to dig holes here up in Maine while I'm building houses. So.